I, 26F, was married to my ex-husband, Andy, 27M, for a year and a half before we separated. Our marriage was a roller coaster from the start, filled with more downs than ups. We met in college during our sophomore year. I was the bookish type, always with my nose in a book, while Andy was the life of the party. They say opposites attract, and in our case, it seemed true at first. We dated for 2 years before Andy proposed. It was a whirlwind romance, and looking back, I realized we were both too young and naive to understand the complexities of marriage. We thought love would conquer all, but life had other plans. The problem started almost immediately after we moved in together post-wedding. Our different lifestyles, which we once found charming about each other, became a source of constant tension. I'm an early bird, up at 6 a.m. even on weekends, ready to begin the day. Andy, on the other hand, would often stumble home at 3 a.m. from a night out with friends and sleep until noon. I'd try to wake him up, arguing that we were wasting the day. He'd get irritated, saying I was too bothered and needed to learn to relax. This pattern repeated itself almost every weekend, with neither of us willing to compromise. Our financial habits were another major point of dispute. I'm a planner and a saver. I had dreams of us buying a house, starting a family, and building a stable future. Andy lived for the moment. He'd spend on the latest gadgets, designer clothes, and expensive nights out, arguing that we were young and should enjoy life. I still remember the day I found out about his secret credit card. I was cleaning our apartment and came across a statement hidden in his desk drawer. My heart sank as I saw the balance, $15,000. When I confronted Andy, he brushed it off, saying it wasn't a big deal and he'd pay it off eventually. But to me, it was a huge breach of trust. Our communication styles clashed terribly too. When we fought, which was often, I wanted to hash things out immediately. I believed in talking through our problems, finding solutions, and moving forward. Andy, however, would shut down completely. He'd give me the silent treatment for days, refusing to engage in any form of conversation. This only made me more anxious and frustrated, leading to even bigger blow-ups when he finally decided to talk. We tried couples counseling, but it felt like too little. Too late. In the sessions, it became clear that we had fundamentally different values and life goals. The counselor suggested we try to find common ground, but it felt like we were speaking different languages. The final straw came about a year into our marriage. I had been pushing for us to start saving for a house, but Andy kept deflecting. One day, I decided to go through our finances in detail. What I found left me cold. Not only had Andy maxed out multiple credit cards, but he had also taken out a personal loan without telling me. We were in debt to the tune of nearly $50,000. When I talked about this with Andy, instead of showing remorse, he got defensive. He accused me of snooping and said I was too controlling. That was the moment I realized our marriage was beyond saving. We had lost all trust and respect for each other. The decision to separate wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. Andy half-heartedly suggested we try to work things out, but I could see his heart wasn't in it. Deep down, I think we both knew we had made a mistake rushing into marriage. My mother-in-law, Sandra, took the news of our separation hard. She was a traditional, conservative woman who believed marriage was a sacred, lifelong commitment. In her eyes, divorce was never an option, no matter how unhappy the couple might be. Sandra started calling me daily, lecturing me about the importance of working through marital problems. She'd say things like, "Marriage isn't supposed to be easy, dear. It takes work and sacrifice." When I tried to explain our issues, she'd dismiss them as young people problems that we could overcome if we just tried harder. As the divorce proceedings began, Sandra's attitude towards me grew increasingly aggressive. She accused me of giving up too easily and breaking her son's heart. The last time I saw her at the courthouse after our divorce was finalized, she looked me in the eye and said, "You'll regret this. You'll never find someone who loves you like my Andy did." Her words stung, but I knew in my heart that ending the marriage was the right decision. Still, to escape the negativity and start fresh, I decided to move to a different city. I cut all contact with Andy and his family, blocked their numbers, and unfriended them on social media. It was time for a new chapter in my life. The first few months in the new city were tough. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep busy and push. Thoughts of my failed marriage out of my mind. Slowly but surely, I started to rebuild my life. I made new friends, took up new hobbies, and began to rediscover who I was as an individual, not as someone's wife. About a year after the move, my colleague invited me to a house party. That's where I met Gerard, 27M. He was charming, intelligent, and had a great sense of humor. We spent the entire evening talking, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of excitement. Gerard and I started dating, and it was like a breath of fresh air after my chaotic marriage. We shared similar values and life goals. He was financially responsible, a great communicator, and respected my need for independence. Most importantly, we brought out the best in each other. After a year of dating, Gerard proposed. It wasn't a grand, showy gesture like Andy's proposal had been. Instead, it was intimate and meaningful. He had prepared a picnic in the park where we had our first date, and as the sun was setting, he got down on one knee and asked me to spend the rest of my life with him. Without hesitation, I said yes. We decided to have an engagement party to celebrate with our friends and family. I was excited but also nervous about our families meeting for the first time. Gerard's parents were coming from out of town, and my parents were driving up for the weekend. The party was in full swing, and everything was going perfectly. Our families seemed to be getting along well, and I was finally starting to relax and enjoy myself. That's when everything went sideways. I was chatting with some friends when I heard a commotion at the entrance. I turned to look, and my blood ran cold. There, pushing past the confused guests, was my ex-mother-in-law, Sandra. She looked furious, her face red and her eyes blazing. Before I could react, she marched up to where Gerard and I were standing. She pointed at Gerard and shouted, "You can't marry her. Andy is your half-brother. Your father had an affair with me 27 years ago." The room fell silent. I felt like I was in a bad dream. I looked at Gerard, hoping to see confusion or disbelief on his face. Instead, I saw shock and recognition. His parents, who had been standing nearby, had gone pale. Gerard's father, Tom, was the first to break the silence. "Sandra," he said, his voice shaking. "What are you doing here? How did you find out about this party?" Sandra laughed bitterly. "Does it matter? What matters is that you've been lying all these years. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? That I wouldn't recognize your son's name when I heard about the engagement?" I stood there, frozen, as chaos erupted around me. Gerard's mother was yelling at Tom, demanding to know if it was true. Sandra was crying, alternating between accusing Tom and begging Gerard to acknowledge her. Our guests were whispering among themselves, and some were quietly slipping out. Gerard just stared at the ground, not saying a word. I wanted to reach out to him, to offer some comfort, but I was paralyzed by my own shock and confusion. I don't know how long we all stood there, but eventually, my parents managed to usher everyone out, leaving just me, Gerard, his parents, and Sandra. Tom finally admitted that he had indeed had an affair with Sandra years ago, but he had no idea it had resulted in a child. He kept apologizing to his wife and Gerard, looking completely devastated. I couldn't take it anymore. I mumbled something about needing air and rushed out of the venue. I ended up walking for hours, trying to process what had happened. When I finally returned home, I found Gerard sitting on our doorstep. He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes and said, "We need to talk. I don't know what's going to happen now. Everything's a mess. I'll update when I can think straight." Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since the engagement party disaster, and I'm still reeling from the aftermath. Gerard and I decided to take some time apart to process everything. He's been staying with a friend while I've been shaking around in our suddenly too big apartment, trying to make sense of this bizarre turn of events. I've learned more details about the situation, and each new piece of information feels like another blow. Apparently, Sandra had been obsessively tracking my life ever since the divorce. When she heard through mutual acquaintances that I was engaged again, she started digging. She managed to find out Gerard's full name and recognized his uncommon last name. Sandra then spent weeks gathering evidence of her affair with Tom, including old love letters and photos. She even went as far as to hire a private investigator to dig up more dirt on Tom. Armed with this information, she confronted Tom a few days before our engagement party. He initially denied everything, but when Sandra threatened to expose him publicly and demand a DNA test, he broke down and confessed. Gerard is understandably struggling with this revelation. He's angry at his father for the affair and for keeping it a secret all these years. He's also dealing with the idea that Andy, someone he's never met, is his half-brother. I can't even imagine how confusing and painful this must be for him. As for me, I'm caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I care deeply for Gerard, but I can't help but wonder if our relationship can survive this. The thought that I was married to his half-brother makes everything so complicated. There's a part of me that feels guilty, even though logically I know I've done nothing wrong. I've been avoiding calls from friends and family, not ready to face their questions or pity. My mom has been texting daily, asking if I'm okay and if I need her to come stay with me. I appreciate her concern, but right now I just need space to think. Yesterday, I received a surprising call from Andy. Apparently, Sandra had told him everything too. He sounded as shocked and confused as I felt. He apologized for his mother's behavior and said he had no idea about any of this. We talked for a while, awkwardly dancing around the elephant in the room, the fact that my ex-husband and my fiancé are half-brothers. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, Andy dropped another bombshell. He told me that he and his current girlfriend are expecting a baby. The news hit me like a ton of bricks. Not because I have any lingering feelings for Andy, but because it added another layer of complexity to an already messy situation. If Gerard and I stay together, my ex-husband's child would be my fiancé's niece or nephew. The mere thought makes my head spin. I haven't told Gerard about Andy's news yet. I'm not sure how or when to bring it up. Everything feels so fragile right now, and I'm afraid this might be the final straw. Gerard and I have agreed to meet tomorrow to talk things through. I have no idea what to expect. Part of me hopes we can find a way forward together, but another part wonders if it would be easier to walk away now before things get even more complicated. As I sit here, staring at the engagement ring on my finger, I can't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. If someone had told me a month ago that this would be my life, I would have thought they were pitching a plot for a soap. Opera. I'll update again after Gerard and I talk. Right now, I'm trying to prepare myself for any outcome. Whatever happens, I know my life will never be the same. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and to say a lot has happened would be an understatement. Gerard and I met as planned, and our conversation was intense, emotional, and ultimately surprising. We started by addressing the fact that he and Andy are half-brothers. Gerard admitted that he had always felt like something was missing in his life, and in a strange way, discovering he had a half-brother filled a void he didn't know existed. He expressed a desire to get to know Andy, which I found both admirable and terrifying. I took this opportunity to share Andy's news about the baby. Gerard was quiet for a long time after I told him. When he finally spoke, he said something I never expected. "I want to be a part of that child's life. They're my family too." His words hit me like a freight train. I realized that if Gerard and I stayed together, my life would forever be entangled with Andy's in ways I had never imagined. The idea was overwhelming, but as I looked at Gerard, I saw determination and hope in his eyes. We talked for hours, discussing our fears, our hopes, and what this all meant for our future. In the end, we decided to put our engagement on hold but continue our relationship. We both agreed we needed time to adjust to this new reality before making any lifelong commitments. Just as we thought things were settling down, life threw us another curveball. A week after our talk, Gerard received a call from his mother. She had left his father and was filing for divorce. The news hit Gerard hard. I tried to comfort him, reminding him that he wasn't responsible for his parents' choices, but I could see the weight of it all crushing him. He decided to take a leave of absence from work and go stay with his mom for a while. With Gerard gone, I threw myself into work, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. One evening, as I was leaving the office, I quite literally ran into Andy. We were both shocked to see each other. After a moment of awkward silence, he suggested we grab a coffee and talk. Sitting across from Andy in a quiet cafe, I was struck by how much he had changed. He seemed more mature, more grounded. We talked about everything that had happened, and he shared his own struggles with the situation. He admitted that he was terrified of becoming a father, especially given the complicated family dynamics. As we were about to leave, Andy hesitated, then said, "There's something else you should know. My girlfriend and I, we're having twins." I felt like the ground had dropped out from under me. Twins. Not only was Gerard going to be an uncle, but he was going to be an uncle to twins. The complexity of our situation seemed to grow with each passing day. When I got home that night, I found a message from Gerard. He had decided to extend his stay with his mom indefinitely. He said he needed more time to figure things out and suggested I do the same. Now, as I sit here writing this update, I find myself at a crossroads. My life has become connected with a family I never asked to be a part of. I care deeply for Gerard, but I'm starting to wonder if love is enough to overcome the obstacles we're facing. I don't know what the future holds. Part of me wants to fight for my relationship with Gerard, to prove that love can conquer all. But another part wonders if it would be easier to walk away now, to start fresh somewhere new where I'm not caught in this complex web of relationships. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. I've decided to take a vacation, to get away from it all and clear my head. Maybe some distance will provide the clarity I need. I'll update again when I've made a decision about my future. Until then, wish me luck as I navigate this soap opera that has become my life. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I'm writing this from a small apartment in a new city. After much soul-searching and countless sleepless nights, I made the difficult decision to end my relationship with Gerard and start fresh. The vacation I took helped me gain perspective. Being away from the drama and having time to myself allowed me to really think about what I wanted for my future. I realized that while I cared deeply for Gerard, the complicated family dynamics were more than I could handle. When I returned, Gerard and I had a long, emotional conversation. He had come to a similar conclusion during his time away. We both agreed that the situation was too complex and that trying to force a relationship would likely lead to resentment down the line. Ending things with Gerard was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I know it was the right decision for both of us. We parted on good terms, promising to cherish the good memories we shared. After the breakup, I felt an overwhelming need for a complete change. I quit my job, sold most of my belongings, and moved to a new city where I knew no one. It was scary, but also liberating. I've been here for 3 months now, and I'm slowly rebuilding my life. I found a job at a small marketing firm, joined a local yoga studio, and even adopted a cat. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own life and future. I've had limited contact with Gerard since the move. We occasionally exchange brief, friendly messages, but we're both careful to maintain our distance. He updates me sometimes on his family situation. He's been building a relationship with Andy and is excited about being an uncle to the twins, who were born 2 months ago. I'm happy for him, but I'm also relieved that I'm not caught in the middle of it all anymore. As for Andy and his new family, I've chosen to keep that chapter of my life closed. It's better this way, for everyone involved. My ex-mother-in-law, Sandra, tried to reach out to me a few times, but I've blocked her number. I have no interest in engaging with her or being pulled back into the drama she caused. Looking back on everything that happened, it feels like a whirlwind. There are moments when I still can't believe how quickly my life changed and how complicated things became. But I've learned valuable lessons from this experience. I've learned the importance of taking time to really know someone before committing to a lifelong partnership. I've learned that sometimes, walking away is the bravest and kindest thing you can do for yourself and others. Most importantly, I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. I've survived a divorce, a failed engagement, and a complete upheaval of my life. And here I am, still standing, still moving forward. I don't know what the future holds for me. Right now, I'm focusing on myself, my career, and building a life that makes me happy. I'm not ruling out the possibility of love and marriage in the future, but I'm in no rush. For now, I'm enjoying the peace and simplicity of my new life. This will be my final update on this saga. Thank you to everyone who has followed my story and offered support along the way. Here's to new beginnings and the adventures that lie ahead.